Hi, my name is Rachel and this is my just about 30-minute Hatha Yoga flow. We're going to make it a little bit creative, a little bit fun and dynamic. So we're going to start kneeling down. If that's not comfortable for you, you can do Sukhasana, easy pose. So whatever is most comfortable for you. I'm going to leave one palm on top of the other. So my right palm down and my left palm just resting on each other on the top of my thighs. I'm going to lengthen out my spine. Just maybe close your eyes or keep a soft gaze and just take a nice deep breath in. And you can sigh it out or just let a slow exhale out your mouth. Gonna open my eyes and I'm going to let my hands hang down by my side and just gonna roll my shoulders up, back and down. Just a couple of times in one direction. And then come back in the opposite direction. And then I'm going to put my left palm down to the side, just a little bit out so that you have room to swing your right hand up in the air over your right ear. And you are just moving, just kind of like as if someone is putting you by the fingertips of your right hand over slightly. So you're getting a nice stretch on the right side. Just inhale there. And then as you exhale, you can raise that right hand up to the air and bring it down beside on the right side out about the same distance. And at the same time, you can swing that left hand up and over. And again, have that sensation of just being tugged a little bit. And just inhale here. And exhale, you can bring that left hand up into the air, bring it down beside each of your sides, lengthen your spine. And then I'm going to move forward onto my palms of my hands and on my knees, so tabletop position. And we're just going to do a little cat-cow, but we're going to do it in the figure eight. So if you inhale and let your belly drop and your gaze is slightly up, and as you exhale, you can move your hips over to the right, your shoulders slightly over to the left top of the mat, so you're coming over in that direction, and then as you exhale, you're coming up into your cat in that same diagonal shape of your torso, and as you're up in cat, you will swing your hips over to the left and your shoulders over to the right. So your gaze is over to the right top of the hand. And then as you inhale, you stay in that diagonal and you inhale, belly drops, gaze up, off to the right slightly. And as you continue to inhale, you can swing your shoulders over to your right and your hips, or your shoulders over to the left and your hips over to the right. So you're continuing to move in that figure eight, and if you feel it out with your body, as you exhale, you'll come up into cat, staying in that same diagonal, and then you'll swing your hips over to the left, your shoulders over to the right. And then as you inhale, you're coming into a cat then. So just feel it out and do there a couple of rounds in that direction. This can really feel nice. It's a different type of stretch than a normal cat-cow because you're getting into little grooves and spots. Definitely in the lower back and the mid-back. And then if you come back to center in your cow, you can then go into the opposite direction. So you're doing the exact same thing. You're just going over your shoulders over to the right first, your hips over to the left. You exhale, you're coming up to cat, swinging the hips over to your right, shoulders over to the left. Inhale, cow. So you're just doing the same thing. Do that for another maybe 3 rounds or so. And then when you feel like you're done with that, you can come back to center and you can do a neutral spine, looking down in the middle of the space between the two palms of the hands. And I'm going to flip my toes over and I'm going to move my hands slightly forward so you're coming up into a downward dog. And you can take your dog out for a walk there so you can move and paddle your feet. Maybe you drop down one knee to really stretch into the back of the opposite leg. So keep that, say for instance, my right leg is lengthened, my left knee is dropped down, and I'm really getting a nice deep stretch into the back of the right leg. And then I'll swap it over. And I'll do that one more time just to get a nice little stretch before we start moving. And then I'm going to come to a neutral down dog, so just the head hang, let the feet stay still. And take an inhale and look forward. And I'm going to make my way to the top of the mat so you can hop, jump, or walk up there, whichever suits. Then I'll inhale, flat back. Exhale, release down. And I'm just going to sway a little here, so you can hold each elbow with opposite palm, or you can just let your hands kind of dangle a little bit. Just make sure you're not holding any tension in their neck and that the head is just hanging. And then I'm going to come to stillness and center, and I'm going to roll up. So I'm going to let my fingertips kind of slide along the front of the legs as I roll up. You can take your time. I'm going to, again, just roll my shoulders up, back and down one time up here, maybe forward just to balance that down, forward, down. And then you can leave your hands down to your side and your palms facing just slightly inwards or slightly looking forwards. And you're looking forward, so you're in mountain pose. Now I'm going to inhale, raise my hands up into the air. I'm going to bring my hands into Anjali Mudra. I'm going to look up towards the palms, slight back bend, and then release the hands and float down to your forward fold. You can inhale, flat back. Exhale, release, and then I'm going to lead with my left leg. So I'm going to bring my left leg all the way back. And I'm going to stay up, leave the knee up. So make sure you're nice and grounded there, find your foundation. And then I'm going to raise my arms up alongside my ears into a high lunge. And then I'm going to come forward, bring my hands back into airplane and gaze looking down. And just make sure you have length there in the back of the spine. That's kind of a line down along the back of your body. And this is a real strengthener for the calf muscle, or not the calf muscles, but the glute muscles. And I'm going to bring my palms down either side of that right foot. And I'm just going to bring the right foot back up into the air straight away, three-legged dog. And then I'm going to bend at the knee, open at the hip. So I'm bringing the knee out to the right, opening the hip. You'll be looking under the right armpit. So a real opener here. This can feel really nice. You can even do maybe 2 or 3 circles in one direction with that knee. Quite big circles. And then come back in the opposite direction. And then we're going to square off the hips again and come back into our three-legged dog. And I'm going to bring the right foot up and in. So I'm bending the right knee, bring it up close to the maybe, or kissing the nose. And then bring that right foot flat on the mat again. And then I'm going to float that left foot up in the air. So the hip is in line with the ankle. You can bring your hands slightly forward. And you can bring so the way you can gauge it is the thumb of the right hand is forward, but in line with the little toe of that right foot. So you're going to open at the left hip, so you're opening that leg, so your foot is flexed, your toes are pointed off in the direction of the left, and just make sure you have a nice foundation there. Your fingertips are tented, usually on the floor, and then you can bring, if you want to leave your left hand on the ground, you can, but if you want to move into the full asana, you can bring the left arm up in the air. Generally, the arms will be in one line. And just try to keep that left foot in line with the hip, and you're looking off in the direction of the left. And you can just take a few breaths here. This is half moon. And then I'm going to turn down the toes to the ground, bring that left hand down to the ground, fingers tented, and then I'm going to rest the toes back onto the ground gently. I'm going to bring my fingertips back on either side of that right foot. Chest open, gaze forward, and then I'm going to bring the palms flat on the mat, bring that right leg back up again, three-legged dog, bring that right foot back. You need to rearrange your legs or your feet there a little bit, so you can come back into downward dog, and then we'll come down. So you can either do knees, chest and chin all the way to the ground and do your cobra, or you can come forward and do a chaturanga, and can do an up dog if you're doing a chaturanga, whichever suiting you, whatever kind of energy you're coming with today. And I'm going to flip over and do a down dog. And I'm going to bring my knees down to the ground, gonna rest on the tops of my feet, and I'm going to come into a child's pose for just a couple of breaths. And then I'm gonna, on my inhale, the next inhale, I'm gonna raise up. So I'm sitting on my heels, lengthen the spine. And then I'm going to come forward again, and I'm gonna go into a downward dog. And I'm gonna lift that left leg up into the air. And I'm gonna come into it this way. So I'm going to bring my knee up and in, and I'm going to come into a lunge here. So I'm just going to open the chest, look forward. Then once I'm balanced, I'm going to bring my arms up alongside my ears into a high lunge. Just take a breath here. And I'm going to pull up as if someone's pulling me by the fingertips. So I'm lengthening that back leg, and I'm going to swing my hands forward and back alongside each of my sides, my torso. And I'm going to do airplane hands. So my palms of my hands are facing towards the floor. I'm gazing towards the floor. And just take a couple of inhale and exhales here. Again, strengthener for that glute muscle. Just make sure the heel of the back foot is nice and heavy and down. It's not high up, but you're bringing it down in the direction of the mat. You may not at all meet the mat like mine doesn't, but that direction you're moving in so that you're nice and grounded and stable in that back foot. And then I'm gonna let my hands go and bring them down either side of that left foot. Going to plant the palms, bring it back into a downward dog. Inhale, exhale here. And I'm going to bend at the knee, open that left knee out to the left side, so you're opening the hips. And I'm going to do a little circle here, about 3 of them like we did on the other side in one direction.
Try to give them big. And then the opposite direction. And then I'm gonna bring that knee down and bring that leg back up so hips are squared. You're in your three-legged dog. Bend to the knee again. Bring the knee in and close to, or maybe kissing the nose. I'm gonna bring that left foot up. And just like I did on the other side, just make sure when you get to here in your lunge that your chest is open, your shoulders are rolled down and away from your ears. Maybe you gaze forward for a moment. And then I'm going to push up off of that back foot. So the right foot is up in the air, in line with the hip. The foot is flexed. I'm going to bring the hands forward. Again, you can use the gauge of that, your left thumb being in line with the left little toe of your foot, but out forward in front of you so that your shoulder is in line with your wrist. And so you can open that right foot so it's flexed, but it's open to the right. So you're opening the hips. And you can stay here. Maybe you're just kind of growing in this pose and just testing your balance, maybe getting into it. Or if you want to go a little bit further, you can open at that right side altogether and bring that right hand up in the air and look in the direction of the right. Just take a couple breaths here. Each side may feel completely different when you're doing any asana. And certainly ones that are balancing, you can feel very different. You might feel the strength is different in each leg in this one. Inhale, and on your exhale, I'm going to bring that right hand down. Bring the right toes, point them in the right direction of the ground. Square the hips. Gently bring those toes back down onto the ground. Bring the two palms tented fingers on either side of the hand. Open of that left foot. Open the chest, look forward. Then you can plant the palms. Bring that left foot back and straight up into a three-legged dog. Then bring that left foot back and again, just go back into your full downward dog. Take an inhale, sigh it out. And you can come forward and you can do a child's pose here if you want to rest, or you can do knees, chest and chin all the way to the ground, or a chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, down dog. Inhale, exhale, side out. I'm going to bring my knees down to the mat. I'm going to bring them out, the knees as wide as the mat. Bring the toes together, the two big toes together. Rest your bum down in the direction of, or maybe on the heels. Slide your palms out as far as they can go and rest your forehead. If you need to use a block, if you're not as close to the ground as getting your forehead there, or if you bring your forehead all the way to the mat, you can do that. And you can allow the elbows to also rest in the mat if your body allows. So just completely rest into extended child's pose just for a couple of breaths. And you can side out. Just try to bring back a little evenness, maybe a little effortlessness to the breath. Can you get quite fired up when you're doing a vinyasa flow? Or anything where it builds a little heat in the body, the breath can also heat up. I'm going to raise my head up off the ground on my next inhale. Look towards my palms, and then I'm going to bring my torso up, bring my knees back in line with the hips, bring the heels in line with the hips. And then I'm going to rest my bum back on my heels, bring my palms, my hands together behind my back, roll my shoulders back so my chest is open, my palms are away from my bum now. So the palms together are really opening the chest, and as I move them out from the body, that's even opening it more. And then I can look up slightly in a 45-degree angle up toward the ceiling. Always use the pointer of the where the ceiling meets the wall, that angle. And then I'm going to slowly move my torso forward, bring my crown of my head down towards the mat, and let the hands clasp together behind my back, raise up into the air as much as they can go, and just allow yourself to rest here for a moment. A nice little inversion. This can be a good way to get used to being in an inversion if you're maybe practicing headstand or handstand or something like that, where you want to get used to that point of being upside down, just to get a feel of it. Also, any pose that allows blood to go to the head, moving that opposite direction, is very soothing and relaxing. And as I'm here, I'm just going to release the grasp of the palms, let them come down almost just alongside the crown of my head on each side, and then use the power of the palms and the ground to push up, bring your crown up. And you're almost there. If you move back your knees a little bit, you're just in a tabletop position again. Shoulders above the wrists, knees below the hips. Inhale, exhale with a neutral spine. And then I'm going to raise my right knee up off the ground. So the foot of the right foot is flexed. So your knee is in line with your hip, your ankle is in line with your knee, so you're creating a little 90-degree angle there between at your right leg. And make sure your spine is neutral, you have a nice foundation in the ground. Just inhale, exhale. Float that left foot off at a 45-degree angle, so the top of your foot is on the ground, but the left foot is slightly out to the side. And then I'm going to lengthen out that left leg, and I'm going to open the hip like I was doing in moon pose, half moon, or up, resting on that left leg. And we're using this left leg as a foundation again, but you have a bit more room, a bit stronger foundation here, in the sense of you're on the top of that left shin. So you're on there, and you're opening the hip. Your toes are looking out to the right. Then you can bring that right foot all the way to the ground, so you're on the right side of that right foot, along the right line, or the left line of it rather. Then you can open your chest up. You can bring that right hand up into the air. If you weren't able to open up like this in half moon, you might find this a bit easier as well, just to open up here. As I said, you have more of a foundation, especially with your right foot down on the ground as well. Now you can stay with your right foot down the ground, or you can bring it up if you want to move it a little bit more of a challenging pose. Try to keep the heel in line with the hip, and the arms are in one line as well. And take a few breaths here. This is the real strengthener as well. You can feel this in your hips, your thighs. And then on my next inhale, I'm going to swing around that right hand, bring that right palm to the ground, turn around my right toes, bring that right foot down to the ground. I'm going to bring that left leg, that left shin, roll it in, and then bring that right knee down again. So you're in your tabletop again. And I'm going to do the same on the right side. So I'm going to bring up that, I'm going to do it this way first of all. I'm going to bring up the right heel to the right buttock, and then swing it out to the side at 45-degree angle. Bring that right foot planted down the top of it onto the ground, and then I'm going to lift that left leg up, so you can do your 90-degree angle again, and you can lengthen it out, flip open to the left with your left toes pointed out to the left, and you can bring it down if you like to begin with. on the left hand, or the right hand side of that left foot. So down along the big toe side. Open your left arm up into the air. Look out in the left direction. Bring that left leg up if you want to go into a more challenging pose. So try to keep that left heel in line with the hip. Try to keep the arms in line. And just take a couple breaths here. And I'm going to swing that left hand down, bring the palm of that left hand down, square off the hips there, bring that left toes down to the ground, swing around that right foot so it's in one line, so the heel is in line with the knee. Bring the left knee down so you're in your tabletop again. And you're in your neutral spine. I'm going to bring my palms forward, flip my toes, come back up into a downward dog. Inhale. You might bend your knees down slightly so you're coming really up onto the tops of your toes, tips of your toes. Bend your knees, roll your shoulders, straighten out your legs, bring your heels down closer to the ground in the direction of the ground, and really lengthen out the back line of the body. And take a breath here. And I'm going to raise that right leg up into the air again. So I'm going to do my three-legged dog. Bend to the knee, bring the knee close into the nose or kissing nose. Bring that right leg forward, plant that right foot. Then I'm going to swing up off of that left foot. So you might use a little motion of bring yourself a little leverage there. Lift that left leg up, bring your fingertips out to the front. Now keep the hip in line with the ankle again. If you can, bring your arms up into and bring your torso up and bring your arms into airplane arms again. Now you can bring them alongside your body, you can bring them out in front. So we're doing a warrior three. You're looking down in the direction or slightly forward, but you're looking down anyways, but maybe slightly forward. And just try to keep in a bit of integrity in this position. So just remembering your alignment when you get here, not just falling into the right leg. And bring attention to your breath again. You're not losing your breath as you go into any asana, even if it's a more challenging one. And you can leave your hands where they are and maybe test out floating back your left leg to the ground. And can you keep a bit of balance there as you come into a lunge? Maybe you test it by going forward again, coming up into a warrior three again. Airplane arms. Just have a little fun there. If you kind of topple over, lose a little balance, that's okay. And I'm going to come up again into, see, I lost a little bit there. So I'm going to come up into a warrior three again. I'm going to bring the tips of my fingers down to the mat. And then I'm going to bring that left leg up and beside, plant that left foot beside the right foot. So we're in a forward fold at the top of the mat. Just breath here. Inhale and you do your flat back, either fingers in line with the toes, maybe on the shins, on the thighs. And I'm going to open my arms, bring them up, palms together above my head. Look up towards the palms, maybe slight back bend. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. I'm going to plant the palms. I'm going to come back to a downward dog. And I'm going to come at it from a downward dog. So I'm going to lift my left leg up into a three-legged dog again. Knee in, or maybe kissing the nose. Plant the left foot. Again, you're going to use a little leverage here in that back foot. Just bounce on it a little bit. And then maybe eventually come up. Maybe just leaving your fingertips on the ground. Just making sure your hips are in line. Your toes are looking down. Foot is fixed on that lifted foot. Maybe you bring the hands up alongside the body, lift up the torso, looking down but slightly forward. Maybe you test again on this side to move back into a lunge, lengthening and straightening up the spine. Maybe you come forward again. Might feel different, as I said, on this side. Maybe you feel more balanced, or maybe it's the opposite. And then you can do that a couple of times, just having a little fun. Maybe you come forward again. I lost it again on that third one. And I'm going to let the fingertips come down to the mat anyways with my leg up in the air. I'm going to bring that right leg in and coming into a forward fold, so planting that right foot. And you can just let the head release. Maybe for this forward fold, you lift up the left sole of the foot, keep the heel on the ground, and bring your left hand under the left foot. So the top of your foot is on the mat, but the palm of your hand and the sole of your foot are meeting. So you're bringing down the left foot then on top of that left hand. And the same, you can raise up the right sole of the foot, heel on the ground, but slide the hand in under that right foot and then rest the sole of the foot on the palm of the hand. If you can get there, if you can, just lean forward in a forward fold of your choice. But this is just a nice little variation. And you can even move your little toes there and give the palm of your hand a little massage. Or you can just rest there for a moment and allow the head to hang. And now to release that, you gently lift up the left foot, the heel on the ground, just gently bring out that left palm. Tent the fingers there alongside the foot, bring up the right foot, slide out the right palm, tent your fingers to the right side, come up into a flat back, release, and then bring your arms up into the air, palms together above your head, slight back bend, and then just release down your hands but come into a mountain pose. So feet hip width apart, hands down alongside your sides, looking forward, palms slightly looking forward and slightly in. And then take an inhale, maybe side out. And I'm going to raise my arms up again. And then I'm going to bring my palms down, Anjali Mudra, in a line along my midline of my body, and then fold forward, and then bring myself all the way into forward folds. Again, I'm going to come up into a flat back. I'm going to bring my palms to the mat and just bring my feet back. So I'm coming back into a downward dog. And then I'm going to bring my knees down. I'm going to bring my knees together, but I'm going to give a little room between the rest of my knees. So my knees are pointed in and close together, but my calves are out, and so my feet are flat on the mat, but there is room when I sit back. There's room for my bum to sit back between my two heels, and I can move out the fleshy part of my calves, just to move that aside and really get your bum down as close to the mat as possible. So heels are out on either side of the hips, but make sure you're keeping your knees close together. And as you're sitting here, you can rest your palms or your hands on your top of your thighs. You can lengthen up, look forward, so you're in a hero pose. Just make sure that your shoulders are down away from your ears, and you're rolling down your back. Let's take a couple breaths here.
And then to get out of this, I'm going to slide my hands down forward onto the mat. So come up, bring your torso up. I'm going to cross over my ankles, so I'm going to come back to seated position, so you can get there however you want. I'm going to do this and roll back onto my bum. And I'm going to come around to my side, but you can stay lengthways in your mat. I'm just going to cross over my legs. I'm going to bring the left one in front of the right leg for a change. And again, lengthen up the spine. And I might do some neck rolls here. So I'm going to bring my palms onto my knees. So usually when you bring them down onto the knees, you're pointing them downwards. You're looking for a little grounding and a little foundation. So that's what we're doing here. And I'm going to roll my neck. So I'm going to make little circles with my nose. Well, actually quite big enough circles. But gently does it. If you feel like doing it a little smaller, that's okay. Just be mindful of the neck. And then I'm going to go in the opposite direction. And sometimes you'll find a spot you maybe want to stay in and just like roll it out a little bit if you find a little sticky spot. It feels really nice to stretch. And then when I finish with that, I'm going to come up and lengthen up my spine again. Make sure my shoulders are nice, sit down away from your ears. And I'm going to look up in direction of the ceiling and bring my chin to my chest. So looking down. Do that one more time, up. Open your throat chakra. Down. Stretching the back of the neck. Coming up to neutral, and then I'm going to look right. Center and left. I'm going to do that one more time, to the right. To center and to the left. We are going to, you can either move down to Shavasana or you can stay in a cross-legged position like I am right now. I'm going to flip the palms into a receiving energy. Palms open, spine lengthened. If you're on your back, you have your legs out, your palms down alongside your hips, slightly inwards or looking up slightly towards the ceiling, your feet hip width apart. Your shoulders all the way down away from your ears, and you're just relaxing in Shavasana, or with me here in an easy seated pose. I'm just going to take a couple of breaths here just to close out this quick practice. Quick and energetic practice. So you can take as long as you want. You can rest here and maybe do a little meditation here in Sukhasana. After you've worked out the energy and released that from your body, you can allow it to just calm down and ease back into the moment again. After you've released any tension, and as well in Shavasana, you can relax there for as long as you wish. I'm going to bring my palms together now just to close off this for everyone here, but keep on whereas you're doing whatever you feel like doing, maybe finishing up or maybe taking a little bit more rest. But I will leave you here and I'm going to bow forward, say namaste. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoy this nice little, I think, creative and a little fiery and a little energetic releasing practice. Thank you for joining me. Bye.